What is family? Family is the village that you create to support you and the people who you care about throughout your life. That's my perspective on family.
People that trust and care and take care of one another, try to work through difficulties, but really are there to nurture each other and try to develop themselves through life.
Love and bacon.
Love and bacon?
Love and bacon, yep. What you got to do is you got to raise that baby saying you can do anything in life if you want to.
Family is people who care about each other and are willing to sacrifice their own self-interest for each other.
No matter how poor you are, no matter what kind of work you got to do, you got to put that sweat and blood and love out for your kids all day long, thinking of them.
Family can look like whoever you want to be involved, whoever's willing to join in the exploration that is child raising and being connected to other human beings.
A couple or a few kids and, hopefully 2 adults, be it 2 guys or 2 girls or a guy and a girl.
To me, no. I'm entitled to my beliefs under the law, and I don't feel comfortable with it at all. And I did a great job with my kids. One's got an MBA, 6-year business degree, and one's got a master's. And they ain't no gender benders in there at all, in the picture at all. And in the Midwest, it just don't happen. There's a pariah, But I am kind to homosexuals. I care about them. I have gay friends. I just don't think it works for family, as far as children, as far as babies growing up in a homosexual home.
Florida's strict ban preventing gays from adopting children is getting challenged in court.
The Supreme Court refusing to hear the case of a same-sex couple who wants both their names listed on a birth certificate for their newly adopted son.
An appeals court has ruled Florida's strict ban on adoption by gay people is unconstitutional.
The issue of gay adoption.
This is actually an affront and an attack on God.
Homosexuality and lesbianism is a sin.
Homosexuality is a sin.
We recognize that the ideal setting for raising a child is where there's a mom and a dad.
Children always flourish better when they're put in the context of both a mother and a father.
There's no rational basis to preclude homosexuals from adopting.
Most Americans are going to see that the sky doesn't fall. This is not about a whole bunch of horror, scary stuff. What it's really about is couples, their kids, their families taking on legal protections and no one else being hurt.
They're asking for the right for gay couples to adopt.
This is more of a constitutional issue.
It's unconstitutional and unfair to not just me as a gay man, to us as a human race.
People will have their opinions against our family and they might want to vote in a way that delegitimizes our family, but I don't feel it's my goal to convince anybody differently, and my hope is that people let us live our lives in the way that we feel is fulfilling and the way that we feel like we're loving our kids. And but any energy I put into trying to convince somebody of that, I'm taking away from the people that I love, and I'm not willing to do that.
Paz and Karen have been raising Maya and Lucia for 5 years in Towson, Maryland. Both girls were adopted from Guatemala. As a gay couple, they had to take certain precautions as a result of discriminations that exist in the adoption industry. In order to avoid being denied children because of their relationship, Paz had to adopt as a single parent, and Karen was not allowed to be a part of the process. Paz and Karen are also a part of the foster care system and are currently fostering a newborn from the hospital.
What do they smell like? You want to do some?
Yeah.
Okay. Where did Lucia go?
Upstairs to go back.
Oh, okay.
Please stop barking.
So which ones of these do you think will make one of these for us? Oh. Maybe we could also make one for Rachel. Awesome. So what do you do first when you're making a ghost?
You do the eyes.
The eyes?
And there's like a little peel that you peel off.
Oh, it's like a sticker?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
I'm gonna be done before you.
Ooh, do you want to make one for Sam too?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
You make all the
Lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people who are parenting or interested in parenting face a variety of obstacles. Some are on the individual level. They have to do with individual stigma and bias that individuals may harbor. Some are on the organizational or institutional level. So these may have to do with caseworkers, adoption agencies, legislative bodies, and then, of course, some have to do with state, federal, and international law.
I single parented Isabel for 9 years, and there were plenty of people who didn't think that that was a good family structure. I mean, I think they were more likely to feel sorry for me or feel sorry for her than they are here, because they think that we're like somehow, you know, there's more judgment in some ways. When Isabel was little, and by the way, she's perfect, so, but like when she would act up, you know, like, I just remember people would be like, oh, it's because she has a single mom. And I'd be like, okay, because my sister's daughter would do stuff 10 times as worse, and nobody'd be like, oh, it's because she has 2 parents. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, you're always looking for something to try to pin that on.
Can I find a file for you to type in?
Right now, the kids are legally mine. Even though Karen was home with them for 5 years, that they don't have a legal tie to her at this point, unless I die. They're more connected to her once I die than they are right now. Isabel's 18, that she can be the one who would be in charge of the kids, because then we know that, you know, her parenting relationship's going to be safe. But it's interesting that I have to entrust that to my adult child before I can to the woman who is their mother and was a stay-at-home parent for 5 years.
There are some adoption agencies that have policies that say we do not allow adoptions under these conditions, and still that is not against the law in this country, and it's certainly not against the law in many other countries. And so an adoption agency can have a policy that says we don't ever place children with gay parents.
Then there's the whole part of being evaluated by a social worker who has to come into your home, who you have to do the fire inspection and all of those level of things, and basically prove that you are, you know, that you've thought it through and you're going to be a good parent. And that's a place where it becomes really vulnerable for same-sex families, because if you have a social worker who isn't okay with, you know, your family, then they can easily ding your home study on that basis. And then you, even if you wanted to get another home study with another agency or social worker, you would have to state whether or not you've had, you'd have to state whether or not you've been denied a home study before.
Mean table, right? Bad table.
You can drive across state lines and your rights change.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I carry a card that says I have the legal authority to make medical, educational, and, you know, other decisions based on...
Should I not be there?
Should she not be there? And it's like notarized, and it's like
I
laminated.
had to sign it over, yeah.
And I have to carry it with me. I mean, it's an extremely vulnerable process. I'm gonna put your juice in the side then, Maya? Is that right?
I can think of few other instances where families are regularly, openly discriminated against purely because of societal attitudes and beliefs, and usually misbeliefs and myths about some aspect of your family.
Chris and Jesse are a prospective couple looking to start a family through the foster to adoption system in Syracuse, New York. Unlike private adoption, which Karen and Paz went through, the foster to adoption program is a less expensive method, but it has the risk of not receiving a permanent child. They are going through an 11-week training program through Onondaga County to be approved as foster parents, and are attending forums for prospective couples looking to adopt.
I cringe every time they say the goal of this program is reunification, you know, because it's a reminder that that's the goal, and that we're here to help these kids through a temporary situation, and if that temporary situation becomes a permanent one because the parents can't, you know, get their act together, then it'll work out in our favor. But knowing that's the goal, and that goal is antithetical to our goal, you know, causes some anxiety.
Claudia Stallman is the project director for the Lesbian and Gay Family Building Project. She organized a forum in Syracuse, New York for prospective couples looking to ask questions and hear from successful families about their experiences with the foster to adoption program.
I know that when I was considering becoming a parent as an open lesbian, it was very important for me to find other role models, especially in the mid to late 90s when I was looking, or really early 90s when my partner and I, my wife and I, were looking to become parents, to find other folks or see video of other folks. To talk with other people, read articles about other LGBTQ people who were parenting.
Actually, it was funny, she came home, what was it, 2 weeks ago? And the teacher had said, now go home and tell your mommy and daddy. And she shot her arm up in the air and said, Ms. Name the teacher, I have 2 mommies. Remember, I have 2 mommies. So she proudly announced to the whole class, I have 2 mommies.
You're out. Yeah, right. We, Jeffrey and I looked at foreign adoption, and we went to a couple of classes in the Cortland and Ithaca area, and one place we went to, they said flat out, there's no country that will adopt to a single male, let alone two guys. So like, all right, so we just went home, and obviously there's something wrong with that answer. So we went back to another agency, and there were other countries that would adopt to a single male, but not a couple.
He's very clear, though, on which is it, because keeping in mind the goal is reunification. There's a difference between knowing that here and having it go to here. And there's a big difference in when you have to send that kid back, and we've been there. That's a tough one.
The program that we're going through is, the foster with the, anticipation of adopting, and, the entire time you're fostering, you're really kind of an assistant to the county really, and helping these kids just kind of have a safe place to live while the parents get their, situation better. The goal is to get the kids back with their birth parents, and so if the caseworker and the court and everybody feels that it's doable, it's okay, then the kids go back with their birth parents, and then we start the process all over again.
Right. This is the free option. This is the option that provides homes for kids that need homes. There are private adoption agencies out there that you can adopt almost immediately, but it's very expensive.
There have been instances of families who have been, in Florida as an example, there are some families in Florida who have been fostering children for years, literally years. In many cases, it's the only family that those children have ever known, and the state of Florida will not allow those children to be adopted. That brings up very complicated feelings for the parents and the children to not be able to have that legal bond.
We are, we're attending these 11-week workshops, we're filling out the paperwork, and, after the new year is when our home finder will come into the home and start interviewing us, evaluating the home, looking at our financial history. So for now, we're going to workshop once a week and learning more about the process and our place in it.
I used to work in healthcare and with kids, and there is that kind of stigma. There are people that will instantly think, if you're gay, you probably shouldn't be around the boys. And I mean, I guess in some cases there's probably some good point to be made of that, but I think it's a generalization that's not fair and oftentimes not justified.
You balance, you want to be different enough, but you want to be same enough that someone doesn't call you a freak or beat you up. And I think that's kind of where I am. I want to be normal enough that I fly under the radar of any real criticism, or waking up in the morning and having someone carve faggot on the back of my car.
Yeah.
When you start comparing yourself to another family, and when you start comparing your child feels that, and that you're in some kind of race to prove that you're right, it makes your child feel like they need to always be perfect, because if they make a mistake, then oh my gosh, it must be because they're not good parents. And it also creates a lot of pressure on their sexual orientation, because then they feel a lot of pressure that the whole kind of myth of oh well, if they're gay, they're going to raise their kids to be gay, which obviously is just doesn't make sense anyway, because a lot of heterosexual families are raising gay kids.
Do kids of LGBT parents turn out to be gay? I would say a couple of things. First, kids of LGBT parents is one group of people in the United States that has been studied exhaustively, so much that it boggles the mind. There's an assumption that if kids turn out to be gay, that's worse than if kids turn out to be straight. Okay, so the fundamental, we have to figure out if these kids come out with a dominant sexual orientation or a non-dominant sexual orientation. The assumption there is being straight is better. The second thing I would say, and this is an interesting thing, is statistically, in all those studies that look at the orientation of the kids of LGBT parents, statistically the kids of LGBT parents come out percentage-wise as straight or a smidge straighter than the kids of straight parents. Okay?
Good. Two fish. Okay, now this is a color word. What color is that?
Red.
Red fish. Are they more likely to be gay or straight? I don't know, but I don't think that's anything more important. In fact, I think it's a whole lot less important than, like, what kind of person are they? Are they kind? Mm-hmm. Are they, those things that, are they human? Are they compassionate? Right. What the idea of what does my sexual orientation has as much to do about my parenting as somebody who's heterosexual. I'm constantly, how does my sexual orientation affect my kids? Well, I don't know. How does the fact that you're heterosexual affect your parenting? Probably not very much. To me, the fact that we're a same-sex family is probably the least interesting thing about us.
And I'll tell you, there are bad LGBT parents out there. There are bad parents out there. It's a sad thing in general.
Well, let's set up this game. Do you know how to play?
Yeah.
All right, because I've never played. You're going to have to teach me. Yeah. All right? Let's see.
The part is what? The part and then me and my have to fold it up.
Yeah, well, no, I think we said partners were going to read the cards. Okay, I'll lay out the first row.
Should I move these?
Yeah.
All right.
Done.
You got yours?
Okay,
Done.
can we move these down just a little bit like this?
Done.
Okay.
First, I'm going to start from the blue one.
Yeah, that's a good idea. We haven't picked from over there yet. It says slide under the trichoma stick with the fan on your belly.
Except it's not staying on your belly, is it?
There you go. Good job.
I think the orientation is the same of what you grow up in, There's no way around that, in my opinion. Well, I'm sure a lot of abuse arises from that. I'm sure that they take that orientation instead of having the choice, like I told you earlier, that they're going to be heterosexual or gay.
Over the trichoma stick with the fish on your body.
Oh, good. Belly.
Belly.
Okay, so what do you have to get?
The fish.
The fish. And put it on your
belly button.
And then you have to step over the trichoma stick. Right.
When's bedtime? Well, maybe he wants them to stay up late on a Friday because it's Friday and let's have a movie and popcorn and, maybe we have soccer the next day and should really go to bed early. I mean, these are the kinds of weird things that I think we're gonna, I shouldn't say weird, but all the kind of small decisions that we're going to be making and we have to be of the same mind.
Chin.
All right, yeah.
Yeah. And then you have to go take.
So now go over here and take 4 giant steps.
Tiptoe around the trichoma stick with
the boat
inside your clothes. Tiptoe around the trichoma stick with the boat inside your clothes.
The day after we finished that workshop, we could get a phone call saying, "Hey, we have 3 kids. Would you like to foster these 3 kids? We'll bring them over later today." I mean, that's a sudden life change.
If this grouping of people are homosexual and they're together and care about each other, then that's a family. So your sexuality has nothing to do with the sense of family you have.
It's not really about,
a man and a woman or a woman and a woman or a man and a man. That doesn't really matter. It's different, you know, it's just an environment, a safe environment, and whoever composes that environment for you, that's yours, you know.
And they're as much a family as anyone else. I mean, they love and support each other more than some, you know, heterosexual families do. It's, you know.
To me, it's, you know, colors, ages, sexuality doesn't really matter. If there's a sense of family, then it's a family.
I think family is whatever you make it. I think family is whatever you make it. And I don't, regardless of your sexual orientation, again, family is what you make it. Yeah. All right, sure.
Thank you.
You're welcome.